Greetings, this is the latest from Mckoy's News Center. The witness and co-accused made 4 attempts to harm Tonia McDonald. Denvelyn Minot, the individual who admitted to hiring Oscar Barnes to assist in the killing of Tonia McDonald, the second wife of Portland businessman Everton, Beachy Stout, McDonald, has revealed that they made 4 unsuccessful attempts to murder her at her residence in Dolphin Bay, Portland. Minot, a fisherman who also dabbled in farming, took the stand as the second witness in the murder trial of McDonald and Barnes, which is currently underway in the Holmes Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. Both defendants are facing charges related to the killing of Tonia McDonald on July 20, 2020. Her partially burnt body was discovered with a slashed throat and multiple stab wounds, next to her burned-out vehicle on the Sherwood Forest Main Road in Portland. Minot is currently serving a 19-and-a-half-year prison sentence for his role as the mastermind behind the killing, having previously pleaded guilty to his involvement in the crime. Minot described their failed attempts, stating, "Mr. Barnes and I visited Beachy Stout and Tonia's home on approximately 4 occasions. The first time, we entered the property from the rear. We took a taxi and asked the driver to wait for us. Mr. Barnes and I exited the vehicle, which was parked on the road. I positioned Mr. Barnes near a plant in the yard by the garage, while the taxi driver stood beside him. We patiently awaited the arrival of Mrs. Mack, but she did not return home. I stayed there from approximately 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I returned to Mr. Barnes and expressed my concern about her absence. The taxi driver suggested we abandon the plan, but I insisted it needed to be carried out. During their second attempt, as Minot testified last week, they waited for Tonia, but she arrived with her housekeeper. Minot explained to the court that they spared Tonia on that occasion because the helper was present, and she locked the security grill shortly after Tonia entered the house. They had been brought to the location by another taxi driver on the second attempt. On the third occasion, it was just Barnes and me. When I met Mr. Barnes, we shook hands, and I informed him that we should try again later that night. He agreed. I went into a Chinese supermarket and purchased a flask of rum, 2 Boom energy drinks, and 5 Craven A cigarettes. I gave them to Barnes, and he confirmed his readiness. We took a taxi, with only me, Mr. Barnes, and the driver inside. We waited in the yard for Mrs. Mack to return. Mr. Barnes asked about her estimated arrival time. Mrs. Mack arrived around 10 p.m. The housekeeper came out of the house, opened the veranda grill, and Mrs. Mack went inside and locked it. While talking to Mr. Barnes, I expressed my bewilderment at how she had arrived and entered so smoothly. He speculated that she might have sensed something was amiss. We eventually left the premises and walked until we found a taxi to take us into town. Minot recounted that on the 4th and final attempt, he had reason to believe that someone had observed their entry into the yard. I told Mr. Barnes that we had to act that night, that we had to kill Mrs. Mack. He replied, "As long as you're ready, I am ready." I emphasized the need for us to arrive at a time when no one would see us. When we entered the yard, Mr. Beachy Stout called me on the phone and instructed me to halt. He then disconnected the call. Minot explained, detailing how McDonald expressed his desire for Minot to carry out the murder alone, without involving anyone else. According to the witness, McDonald later called him and insisted, "I don't want any partners or accomplices, it's just me who should do it." I informed him that I was the sole individual present, which was untrue. I lied to him because he had instructed me not to bring anyone onto the property. Minot claimed that McDonald informed him that they could no longer proceed with the murder at the yard due to someone potentially having seen them. He further misled McDonald about who had accompanied him to the yard. The trial is ongoing and continues today. Subscribe to Mckoy's News for breaking news and updates.